The judge pronounced a grim verdict, guilty on both counts, and imposed the only sentence the law allows for first-degree murder: life behind bars with no parole, a ruling that could upend Lil Bibby's case overnight. The situation darkened further when a family member came forward and corroborated key details of the shooting, shifting the narrative and piling pressure on Ksoo's defense. Even more explosive was the testimony from Buda, the getaway driver, who detailed their plan with chilling clarity. He described pulling close to the target's car so the shooter could leap from the passenger seat and strike the moment the victim slid in, then speed away, a confession that changes everything in the unfolding investigation. Later, Buda didn't hold back. He flat-out claimed that it was Ksoo who fired the shots at BBY. "What happened after you jumped out of the Nissan?" the prosecutor asked. "Shot at him," Buda replied. "Shot at who?" "Corn," he said, sealing the moment that sent shockwaves through the courtroom. From there, things spiraled fast. Prosecutors began stacking potential life sentences, one after another, tightening the walls around the ATK circle. The confession wasn't random. It reignited pressure on Ksoo, already locked up for his role in Lil Buck's murder. But now, with this fresh testimony surfacing during Ksoo's trial, the spotlight is blazing on him again as he prepares to face a new round, this time for Bibby's killing. The stakes couldn't be higher. Bibby was young, and his death drew heavy public attention. If Ksoo is convicted, he won't just be serving life. He'll be facing a legacy of infamy in Jacksonville's street history. Remember, the Buck case wasn't your typical turf feud. It was deeply personal. Ksoo and his crew allegedly went after Lil Buck in retaliation for a diss track that mocked Ksoo's late stepbrother, Goon, and that track lit the fuse for everything that followed. When the gunfire finally stopped, the streets went silent. But the courtroom? It was chaos. And what stunned everyone most wasn't just the evidence, it was the witness. Ksoo's own father, Abdul Robinson Sr., known in the streets as Blue, took the stand and identified his son. When asked who was seen in the footage shooting Charles McCormick, Blue's answer was chilling. "That's him. That's my son." The internet exploded. Viewers were divided. Some called it justice, others betrayal. But Blue later said it was one of the hardest things he's ever done. Still, that moment became the prosecution's key turning point, the testimony that could change everything. Investigators later confirmed that Blue's version of events lined up perfectly with the surveillance footage, showing Ksoo caught on camera during the ambush that ended Lil Buck's life. In return for cooperating, Blue reportedly secured a lighter sentence for his own role in helping Ksoo and ATK Scotty flee after the shooting. Once that evidence hit the courtroom, the jury didn't need much time to deliberate. Both Ksoo and Scotty were found guilty of first-degree murder and handed mandatory life sentences without the possibility of parole. But Ksoo didn't take it quietly. The moment the verdict was read, he erupted, calling the entire process corrupt, racially biased, and built on backroom deals rather than truth. His defense attorney echoed that outrage, claiming the prosecution's case rested more on favors and falsehoods than actual evidence, and vowed to fight tooth and nail for an appeal. Still, no amount of anger could erase the impact of that decision. The guilty verdict didn't close Ksoo's story. It cracked open a darker chapter. Despite already facing life behind bars, he's now preparing for yet another trial, this time for the murder of 16-year-old Adrian Gaynor Jr., better known as Lil Bibby. And the twist? The same family ties that helped seal his fate once could be the very reason he never breathes free air again. Lil Bibby's name carried a different kind of tragedy. A teenager from Jacksonville, he was born into the chaos of the streets, trying to wrap his way toward a better life. But instead, his story became another verse in a song the city knows all too well, one of talent, violence, and dreams cut short. Lil Bibby was deeply rooted in Jacksonville's six-block crew out on 45th Street, a name that carried weight and fear across the city. He was young, talented, and hungry, already linking with local rappers like Theo and Casherty, building momentum both in the streets and online. But in a city like Jacksonville, fame and danger often run side by side. The more buzz Bibby earned, the more eyes locked onto him, especially from rival crews. So when he was ambushed near an apartment complex, everyone knew it wasn't random. Multiple shooters, precision timing, and an execution-style hit. This wasn't a drive-by gone wrong. It was a message. Word spread fast that BBY's death was tied to the long-standing feud between 6 Block and ATK, the same group Ksoo repped hard. And soon, the puzzle pieces began to line up almost too neatly. Investigators noticed the same names, same grudges, and the same energy echoing from the Lil Buck case. Once again, Ksoo's name sat at the center. Surveillance footage appeared to show someone matching his frame near the scene, and cell tower data placed his phone in the area minutes before and after the shooting. Add in witness statements and social media clues, cryptic posts, deleted captions, diss tracks, and the narrative began to write itself. Online detectives and fans alike started connecting the dots, spinning theories about retaliation and revenge. Even without direct proof, the street Ksoo had a hand in BBY's murder. And honestly, the motive wasn't hard to read. Jacksonville's drill scene thrives on cycles of vengeance. Every loss demands a response. BBY's killing could have been payback, a power move, or a warning shot meant to prove ATK was still standing tall after taking its own hits. But as the case unfolds, things are getting murky. The state's evidence is a tangled mix of technology, whispers, and loyalty turned to betrayal, grainy footage that looks like Ksoo, phone data mapping his route, and insiders hinting at who was really in that car the night BBY was taken out. Now, with his brother's testimony already shaking the ATK foundation, the walls around Ksoo are closing in fast, and this time, there might be no way out. The situation is spiraling fast, and all signs suggest the Lil BBY case might be the final nail in Ksoo's coffin. It's like everything is looping back to where it started, but this time, the stakes are higher than ever. Now, here's where things take a turn. Once Ksoo's brother entered the picture, whispers started spreading that Abdul, yeah, Ksoo's own brother, might have flipped, too. He was hit with an accessory after the fact charge in the same case, which makes the theory believable. People think he might have shared key details to protect himself. And honestly, if their dad already testified against Ksoo, it wouldn't be shocking if his brother followed suit. But the confirmed snitch? That's Buddha. Dominique Barner laid everything bare, naming the car, the timeline, who rode where, and who pulled the trigger. According to him, the car was a stolen Nissan Altima, and inside were Ksoo, ATK Scotty, and Buddha himself. When the shots rang out, Buddha said it was Ksoo who jumped out, chased down Lil Buck, and pulled the trigger. What makes his statement so dangerous is how neatly it fits the puzzle prosecutors were already piecing together. Eyewitness accounts, video footage, and digital data all backing up his version of events. So, this isn't just Buddha talking. It's his story syncing perfectly with the evidence. Still, the streets are buzzing with one big question. Did Buddha only come clean after watching Ksoo get hit with life for the Lil Buck murder? And more importantly, did Ksoo's own brother also cooperate behind closed doors? Because if Abdul really did share something that ties back to the Lil BBY case, it could shift everything. This isn't just about loyalty anymore. It's about survival. And as the next trial approaches, the answer to who really talked might determine whether Ksoo ever sees freedom again. Even though Ksoo is already serving a life sentence, that doesn't mean he's out of danger, not by a long shot. In Florida, multiple life sentences can stack one after another, and under the state's tough 3 strikes law, repeat violent offenders can be locked away for good with no chance of parole. In other words, the system is designed to make sure someone like Ksoo doesn't get a second chance just because he's already behind bars. And prosecutors? They know exactly how to use that to their advantage. Their playbook is simple but ruthless. Use every prior conviction to build a narrative of unbroken violence, showing the court that this isn't just about one tragedy, but a consistent pattern of danger. To them, back-to-back life sentences aren't excessive, they're justified. And with Lil Bibby's death striking such a nerve in Jacksonville, the stakes are higher than ever. Bibby wasn't just another name in the streets. He was a 16-year-old kid with a growing rap career, and his murder became a rallying cry for justice. The public outcry alone gives prosecutors even more incentive to make an example out of Ksoo. Now, Add Buddha's confession into the mix, the insider details about the car, the timeline, and who pulled the trigger, and suddenly, the prosecution's case looks airtight. Legal analysts are already predicting that this could push the state to go all in during the next trial, using every shred of evidence and every past conviction to portray Ksoo as the violent core of an ongoing cycle. If that strategy lands, this next trial could seal his fate for good. The tension is sky-high, the narrative is building, and as the internet continues to debate whether he's a victim of the system or it's proof of necessity, one thing's for sure: Ksoo's fight for freedom is hanging by a thread. Right now, the internet is split right down the middle when it comes to Ksoo. On one hand, supporters see him as a victim of circumstance, a young artist swallowed by a system built to break people like him. They call his father's and brother's testimonies betrayals of the worst kind, the kind that cut deeper than any sentence ever could. To them, Ksoo's not some hardened criminal. He's another talent lost in the chaos of street politics and courtroom deals. But then you've got the other side, people who say justice is finally being served. They point to the evidence, the eyewitnesses, the confessions, and argue that Ksoo's just facing the consequences of the path he chose. Scroll through Reddit or any Jacksonville drill forum, and the debate is nonstop. Loyalty versus logic, survival versus snitching. Some people are questioning the entire culture of street warfare that made this possible. And the drama only deepens as old ATK clips resurface, members distancing themselves, others condemning the violence that once made their names. It's the same story we've seen before, a brotherhood that unravels the moment the lights of the courtroom come on. But to really get what's happening here, you've got to see the broader picture. Jacksonville's rap scene has been at war with itself for years. ATK and KTA locked in a deadly feud that spilled far beyond music. What started as lyrical jabs around 2018 morphed into real bloodshed, every diss track leading to another headline, another mother crying, another life lost. Neighborhoods like 6 Block, Arlington, and the East and West Sides have become battlegrounds where rap beefs and real vendettas blend into one. Lil Bibby's death wasn't just another tragedy. It became the symbol of how far this war has gone. He was only 16, full of potential, but his killing underscored the cycle that keeps swallowing young talent whole. And Ksoo? He's not just on trial for murder. He's on trial for representing that entire culture of retaliation. Even if he tries to appeal his convictions, he's up against walls built from testimony, footage, and digital trails that all point in one direction. His father's words, Buddha's detailed account, they leave little room for doubt. And now, whispers are spreading that prosecutors are expanding the scope, pulling in more ATK members, using every statement as leverage. Some insiders even claim the BBY case is just the beginning, a blueprint for dismantling the whole ATK network. What started as one rapper's trial could easily explode into a citywide reckoning, unmasking who ordered what, who pulled which strings, and just how deep the blood feud really runs. As tensions rise and more names get dragged into the spotlight, one thing's clear: this isn't just about Ksoo anymore. It's about the entire system of violence and loyalty that built him and might now destroy everyone tied to it.